right, 6 minutes past 12 from Radio 91.7, Nigeria's first and only radio station for women and their families. Glad to know that you're still there, tuned in to this dial today. I really do appreciate you for choosing Women Radio, WFM 91.7. Today is Thursday, day 6 in the month of June 2024, and I welcome you to this special program put together in partnership with Vision Spring Initiative to talk about women's reproductive health and rights. My name is Blessing Aguito, and my guest for today is Simisola Awe Esquire. Simisola Awe is a lawyer and youth development practitioner with 8 years of professional excellence, purpose fulfillment, and passion accomplishment. She is a multi-award winner to attest to her all-round impact in making the global goal tagged Agenda 2030 achievable. She has a background in law with a key interest in medical law and ethics. Being a passionate writer, Simi Loluwa has written a lot of transformational write-ups for youth development and the nation's growth. She is the author of the books Writers Love Language and Everything Ekiti, born out of a passion for her home country, which addresses history, politics, tourism and entertainment amongst others. As a former member of the United Nations Population Fund Youth Participatory Platform, a Sustainable Development Goals champion, Member Advisory Committee for the Knowledge Transfer Network UK, African Innovation Action Plan for Ekiti State, member Rapper Tribe of the Rapper Network, she has been able to contribute her voice in harnessing and attaining the nation's full potential. And of course, notable amongst her numerous awards include winning a medal honor and recognition for her impact in sustainable development goals in 2019 by Ekiti State government, the Freshwater African Youth Foundation Award of Recognition in 2021, the One Ekiti Award for Advocacy in 2022, amongst others. Through her personal projects and volunteering, she has reached out and impacted not less than 5,000 young persons over the years, and the passion and tenacity remains unwithered. Thank you very much for joining me on the show today, Simi Loluwa. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm doing very well. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's so nice to have you on the show. I mean, see your profile right there. It's plenty. Well done. Well done. Well done. Well done for the great work. I mean, it's very important in all that we do to try as much as possible to impact lives and be part of the change movement. So once again, well done for all of the great work that you have been doing and that you will continue to do. And it's so good to have you on the show today, Simi Loluwa. All right, like I said earlier, today we'll be talking about women's reproductive health and rights, and Barrister Simi Loluwa will be taking us through the journey, through the conversation on the show today. I'm quite interested.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much once again. And I'm quite interested, just before we delve into the conversation fully, I would like to ask you, why is it even important for us to know about the women's reproductive health and rights? Is there any reason as to why we should know about women's reproductive health and rights? Are you there? Okay, remember you can be a part of the conversation by calling us on 07000 917 917. Send us a text and WhatsApp message on 0703 175 6537. Log into our website www.thebfm917.com. Download the mobile app, the BFM 917. Send your thoughts to our social media platforms, the BFM 917. All right, Similolo, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Did you get a question earlier?
Yes. So the question, if I get it, is on legal perspective on restrictive sexual reproductive health and right.
Yes.
The laws and policy. Okay. So one of the one of the parts of law that I'm very particular about, being a medical lawyer, is the aspect of using law as an instrumentality to correct devices in medical practice in Nigeria. But as we speak, it is so funny that even the law itself is restricting access to sexual reproductive health and rights. And this is one of the reasons, because the laws in place generally does not give you your bodily autonomy to decide what happens to you as a person. You don't have control over your body because laws in place have stated what should be done and how it should be done. Now, as a human, you feel like you have your right to everything, to your personal decision, to privacy and all of that. But the laws in place are saying no. This is where your right ends. And does this even make sense when we see the law is supposed to protect our right? Another aspect of this is denial of reproductive justice. Now, you as a person can't even determine in Nigeria when you want to have children or when you don't want to have children. That is so barbaric. And it is still what is in existence in our law. Like, you don't get to determine. Then there is impaired access to healthcare services because people are scared to even come out because they feel like abortion is illegal in Nigeria. I don't have to go to the hospital. Then they go and endanger their life trying to seek solutions from other places. And there is discriminatory practices. You know, our law is so intertwined with morality that there is no way you can try to separate law from morality, which is one of the reasons why we say we are still laid back on some of our policies. Now, somebody practicing any form of LGBTQ, we know that most of them are prone to they are high risk population to HIV and AIDS. But these people need healthcare services. But you are saying what they are practicing is illegal. And we want to protect the people and promote reproductive health. How do we do this? These are the bottlenecks. And generally, the laws in place are not doing justice to helping us achieving this sexual reproductive health and rights because it is so restrictive and is not doing any justice.
All right, thank you very much, Similolua, for your thoughts on that one this morning. So yes, as a lawyer and activist, could you provide us with an overview of the current legal framework surrounding access to safe termination of pregnancies in Lagos State and how it impacts individuals seeking reproductive health care services?
Oh, yes. Sure. So there is a law in place, or should I say there is a guideline in place in Lagos State. We have the Lagos State Safe Termination of Pregnancies guideline, but the implementation of that guideline has been suspended. And this is why I feel like there is need to create like sensitization, not to prove the wrong message out, not like, okay, this guideline is to like, this guideline is to promote abortion or other sexual forms or vices. That is why this law is suspended. But currently, as we speak, the law that is in place in Lagos that is active, that is being implemented, is the Criminal Code. And Section 228 and to 230 specifically states this. Now, it states when a person can have access to abortion in Nigeria and it will not be illegal. And it is only one condition. It can only be based on one premise, which is to save the life of the mother. Now, every other form of rape, every other form of issues that can cause abortion is generally illegal. Now, this restrictive law, this framework in place, has really caused a lot of issues affecting the access to health services. Now imagine somebody is a victim of rape. It is reasonable that, oh, okay, this person is raped. The person might want to like seek medical services to abort maybe a pregnancy that occurred out of the incidence of that rape, or even forms of incest or any other medical conditions that might make one require abortion. Now, the law says it is illegal. The medical practitioner cannot do it for you because they don't want to go to jail. So what is the way out? That is why people will keep seeking alternative means. Because I don't want to keep the baby. This is like, oh, I was raped. That is traumatizing enough. So you expect me to keep the baby, to keep reminding me of what has happened? And the funny thing is, when we talk about this abortion and all, there are ways through which we can save abortion, that the person who is the victim will not be harmed. But the law says no. Abortion is illegal. So one person now has been traumatized as a result of rape. The law says that you cannot come out of it. You have to give to the child. It's just so barbaric. Honestly, it is so barbaric. So it affects our access to healthcare services because of its restrictive nature. It makes keep seeking alternative means, which is honestly not the way out if we are truly promoting healthcare services in Nigeria. Then there is this chilling effect to it has on medical practitioners. Like, they are very, very reluctant, even when they know it endangers the life of the mother. Now, a law says that only when the life of the mother is in danger, you don't even know. It is not specifically stated that at what point does the life of the mother becomes in danger. You are also scared because you don't want to go to jail. Because what if the law says after doing the abortion that the life of the woman was not in danger in the intent of the law? So everybody's reluctant. Nobody wants to take steps so that the law will not hold them responsible for whatever it is. So this is like the framework in place, and honestly, I would say it is not working. And that is even one of the bottleneck I see for the law in place, the Lagos State Safe Termination of Pregnancy Guideline. That is like one of the bottlenecks I see, because criminal code is a superior provision of the law in place. So when the provision of maybe a guideline, when it comes to the provision of the criminal code, obviously it cannot stand. That is why they feel like there should be more sensitization that, okay, the provision of this guideline is not trying to count what the criminal code has said. So that's just the thing. It's honestly a lot of bottlenecks here and there.
Okay. 07000-917-917. That is the number to call to be a part of the conversation. 07000-917-917. Send us a text and WhatsApp message on 0703-175-6537. Log on to our website at www.wfm917.com. Download the mobile app WFM 917. Send in your thoughts to our social media platforms WFM 917. That is how you can be a part of the conversation for today. If you are just joining us, thank you very, very much. On the show today, we're talking about women's reproductive health and rights. And my guest today is Simi Loluwa Awe Esquire, and she has done justice on the show today. Okay, so Simi Loluwa, I would like to ask you now, with the recent suspension of the Lagos State Safe Termination of Pregnancies Guidelines, what are the immediate legal implications for individuals who are seeking termination of pregnancy services, and what particular way does this affect the broader landscape of reproductive rights advocacy?
Okay, thank you very much. The implication of the Lagos State Safe Termination of Pregnancies Guideline, the immediate implication is it leaves people in a state of uncertainty. When everybody got to know that, there is a guideline in place for safe termination of pregnancy, everybody felt like this is supposed to remove the bottleneck that we have already with the provision of the criminal code and all of that. But when the implementation is suspended, everybody's uncertain, like, okay, so what is the way out? What are we doing? Are we saying that abortion is now legalized? Are we saying it is not legalized? What is the position of the law? So it's increased the level of legal uncertainty as we speak. And then being suspended, it cannot be implemented except there is another go ahead that, okay, such law should be in place and should be implemented. So definitely doesn't do justice to or remove the bottleneck from the criminal code. So as we now currently in Lagos State, there is no provision for safe abortion except when the life of the mother is in danger, according to that section 228 to 230 of the Criminal Code. Another thing it does is it reduces people's access to safe abortion, because everybody felt like, okay, this guideline being in place now, we can actually come out to speak out when incidences like this happen. But then when you are speaking out and they're telling you nothing has changed, then you wonder, okay, so the position is still the same way as it is before. So what has changed? What is the law saying? What is this they're saying? People don't even understand what is going on. And it brings about a lot of things. When they now open up, there's no solution, then they try to use any other solution, which could lead to mortality, complications, morbidity, and all of that. Then the essence of actually suspending the guideline is to create sensitization about the intent and intention of the guideline itself. But I don't feel like this is actually achieving its aim, because there is a setback now in terms of advocacy. People are asking questions: is this law in place? Is it not in place? Is it going to be implemented eventually? Or what exactly are you saying? So there is setback on advocacy because a lot of people are asking many questions that we as advocates cannot answer. Now, these are the immediate implications, and it is just very funny that we don't know the way forward. But then there are solutions that we can actually prefer to move forward from here.
All right, thank you very, very much for your thoughts on that one, Similolua. I do appreciate you. 07000 917 917. That is the number to call to be a part of the conversation for today. 07000 917 917. Send us a text and WhatsApp message on 0703 175 6537. Log on to our website www.wfm917.com. 22 minutes past 12 from the side of the radio. And yes, I am still speaking with Similolua Aware Esquire. And today on the show, proudly sponsored in partnership with Vision Spring Initiative, we're talking about women's reproductive health and rights. My name is Blessed Agwita. All right, Similolua, let me ask you this one. After all of these things that you've said on the show and things that the implications thus far for women who have been raped, who would, like to go ahead to terminate the child thereafter, and the restrictions and the fear and all of that. Looking ahead, what legal protections and reforms do you believe are very necessary in a bid to safeguard the reproductive rights of individuals in Lagos State and even beyond? And what role would you say legal professionals play in effecting meaningful change in this area?
Okay, thank you very much. I'll first start with necessary reforms and legal protection that can safeguard this. The first one is, let us legalize abortion. It doesn't mean that now, okay, there is a law that makes abortion illegal. Do people really stop getting pregnant? No. People still get pregnant, some because they want to have children, some because it's just an issue of circumstances. Now, if we legalize abortion, it will still have the same effect. It will not make people care more, because now I think at that point where we legalize abortion, what we can start preaching then is the implications of abortion. The fact that abortion is legalized doesn't mean everybody should start doing abortion. There are still complications that can arise according to this. So at that point, we have sensitizations to do when abortion is legalized. Then we have to decriminalize it so that our health practitioners will be willing to help people who are vulnerable, who seek these alternative means. If the health practitioner, if it is decriminalized, the health practitioners will be willing to embrace people to come into their facility to seek safe abortion, to seek proper health care, to seek medical attention, which would actually reduce the risk and remove the bottleneck in sexual reproductive health. Another thing is we have to implement, or we have to push for a comprehensive sexual reproductive health law. And what do I mean by that? There are a lot of issues that we shy away from. Like I said earlier, law is very intertwined with morality. And in Nigeria, we have these moral obligations, moral standard here and there. So there are some issues that are supposed to be very direct or very, very straightforward that we are supposed to approach. But because it has to do with sexual in that context, everybody's shying away from it. We need to have a comprehensive sexual reproductive health law that tackles this step by step, that give people protection and clarity on what to do per time. And another thing is we have to remove all forms of discrimination, because the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is saying that you have a right not to be discriminated against. But this form of LGBTQ is not acceptable in our community. Is it not a form of discrimination? I don't want to say we are so confused as to what we want and what we don't want. But then, if we remove these bottlenecks, like we make laws that protect people from discrimination in its entirety, maybe because the provision of the Constitution is not specific enough as to protect this category of people. Maybe an extension to that, to be specific, will make people come out more to seek health services, own up to whatever you are doing, so that we can go forward. With the way people are shying away from coming out to say that, okay, I belong to the LGBTQ society, there are a lot of risk attached. There is increased rate of HIV and AIDS. There is increased rate of all forms of sexually transmitted disease and all of that. But if you embrace these people, they come to seek necessary advice. They'll come out to seek. I know there are a lot of one-stop centers now in Lagos State whereby you can go in to access like medications like pre-exposure prophylaxis and all of that. But there are still a lot of people in the rural communities in Lagos who don't have this awareness, who don't even know what this is. But once this bottleneck is generally removed, a lot of people will be able to own up to whatever they are doing and seek the necessary reforms, and it will actually help us in promoting the reproductive health in Nigeria and in Lagos particularly. And another thing I feel like we should also work on is clear guideline for healthcare providers. Now, an healthcare provider who wants to help a woman in need who is at risk of dying, maybe because of her pregnancy, is considering, is this enough or sufficient reason to do this abortion according to the provisions of the law? Where there is a clear guideline for them that your rights are protected as healthcare practitioners, they would be willing to render these services more than being reluctant to render it because they feel like they might end up in jail as a result of that. So I feel like we should put out necessary or clear guidelines to help them to be able to embrace work more, help people more. Now, we'll be going to the role of legal practitioners because that's like another leg of the question you asked.
All right, so Similoluwa, just before you, Similoluwa, just before you move on to the role of a legal practitioner, I quite understand your reservation about the LGBTQ, the acceptance and how it is key, particularly when it comes to health implications of this matter. But we cannot rule out the fact that it is something that is not yet acceptable in our society. Our morals frowns against it at the moment, and until otherwise, we might not be able to have conversations surrounding that, particularly in this part of the world that we're in. Okay, so now you can move on to the role of the legal practitioners.
Yes, definitely. That's why I'm saying that our laws should be reformed. If our law is reformed to accommodate these people, to let them know that they have the freedom of expression to actually be whatever they want to be, then they will be willing to come out to say this is what I'm doing and be able to seek necessary laws, necessary health services and all of that. So that's why I'm saying that this is one of the necessary legal framework if we want to promote and protect the sexual harassment
Sexual
sexual
rights.
harassment, sexual reproductive health.
Yes.
So now going to the role of legal practitioner. I, as a lawyer, do I have a role to play in promoting sexual reproductive health in Nigeria? I would say absolutely yes, because a lot of these things actually relies on policymakers. And if we don't push out for these things, then there will be no progress. We will just keep talking and talking without acting. Now, as a legal practitioner, number one thing that I have to do, and other legal practitioners have to do, is to advocate. We have to form advocacy to reform restrictive laws. We have to push for it that, okay, these laws are restrictive. We can't say this and say that at the same time. We can't say people have a right to personal liberty. We can't say people have right to freedom of expression. And we say that they cannot come out to say this is who they are. These laws are contradictory. We have to come out to push reforms for restrictive laws so that we can be on the same level and be able to achieve more as a nation. Another thing we also have to work on is litigation. One of the ways to actually set precedents in law is through litigation. When maybe there is a case, as legal practitioner, you have a right to protect the interest of health caregivers to ensure that, okay, at this point, I feel like this person is doing this because the life of this woman is at risk. And even the provision of the law didn't state to what extent is the risk of the life of the mother. Do you understand? Or at what point does the life of the mother become in danger to an extent that it deserves abortion? So if we are able to through litigation set judicial precedents, the healthcare providers their mind will be at rest that, okay, this is what the law is saying. It will give clarity as to the provision of the law and also help them to be able to perform their functions efficiently without the fears of what and what not. So that will also help. Then also, as a legal practitioner, policy development is very, very important. As legal practitioner, we should draft more policies and push them. We should promote more policies that protect rights of individuals in aspect of sexual reproductive health. So with that, we may be able to push these policies that we're advocating for to the lawmakers, who would in turn approve and this law so that we can implement same to help everybody be at par and to help everybody access quality healthcare services in terms of sexual reproductive health. Then another thing is education and trainings. A lot of people just feel like abortion is illegal, even if the woman is dying. As a medical practitioner, abortion is illegal in Nigeria and I can't do it. As a legal practitioner, you have a right to sensitize people. You have a right to educate them. Let them know that this is what we are doing. Let them know that this is what the law says. This is the intent of the law. Although these laws are restrictive, but then to this extent, the law still protects the interest of individual and all. Then we should provide support services, help support other people, volunteer to support other people that are pushing these things, review the laws. That's one of the ways through which legal practitioners can support people driving sexual reproductive health. Reviews the laws in place and interprets them so that in a layman language everybody can understand the intent of the law. So I believe with that, there are roles legal practitioner can play to help increase access to quality healthcare services in aspects of sexual reproductive health.
All right, thank you very, very much, Simi Lolua, for your thoughts on the show today. I really do appreciate you. I really do hope that we get to that point where we take the enforcement of women's reproductive health and rights seriously in this country. Thank you once again and do well to enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate this.
All right, there you have it from Similolua Aware, a lawyer and youth development practitioner. My name is Blessing Agbet, and this is what we get to call it a wrap on the show for today. In the meantime, keep listening to Women Radio, WFM 91.7.